In this video, I'll be testing this Caddis Rapid 6-person tent against not only light rain but heavy rain as well. Before rain testing this Caddis Rapid tent, I first checked all the seams in the tent. At the back of the tent, I found that the seams with less rainfly protection, like the tent body to bathtub flooring seam, as well as the middle seam between the blue and white tent fabric, have been taped. As for the seams that are fully covered by the rainfly, like the window seams and these ceiling mesh seams, these have not been taped. At the front of the tent, I found that the door seam was completely taped all around the door. Also, any seams on the flooring have also been completely taped. Speaking of which, there's bathtub flooring that extends about 7 inches up, and outside the tent, all the seams on the rainfly were taped as well. I managed to put this Caddis Rapid 6-person tent through some light rain, which looked like this. It rained for about 5 to 6 hours while I was using this tent, and after the rain stopped, I found that there were no leaks inside this Caddis Rapid tent, and the tent was still completely dry. This is because the seam taping around the tent, especially on the flooring as well as the corners, are really quite thorough. I wanted to also test for heavy rain, so I used this water hose on the Caddis Rapid tent, and I tried to spread the rainfall evenly across the entire tent. At the front of the tent, although the rainfly here is pretty short, I found the rainfly pole pretty useful in kind of like diverting the rainfall away from the window mesh here. The rain mostly fell towards the sides of the tent instead and not on the window mesh. At the other 3 sides of the tent, the length of the rainfly is a lot longer and covers at least a good 3/4 of the tent body. In fact, because I guyed out each side of the Caddis Rapid tent, notice that the rainfall barely even touches the tent body at all, it just drips straight to the ground instead. After 1 hour of this heavy rain, I stopped to check in on the tent. I found that only the very bottom of the window mesh was wet and the rest of it was dry. This is where the rain dripped and everything above that was dry. However, just bear in mind that this test happened in my yard with not a lot of wind. Also, do be careful when opening the door. It'll be great if you could leave it outside the tent like this, because if you let it sag inside your tent, the water would drip off your door and onto your tent floor instead. At the front of the tent, I found that there was some leaking through the 2 corners of the tent. Even though it was taped, the rainfly at the front is really too short to provide enough rain protection. In fact, the rainfly was so short that it didn't even provide enough shading over the door. After I opened the door, I found that the water on the roof of the tent just dripped right into the tent when the door is open, which is kind of silly. This is me just shaking the rainfly gently, and look how much water is getting into the tent. Also, I found that the door zippers were pretty much soaked, and I'd recommend placing them higher up on the tent instead for more rain protection. At the other 3 sides of the tent, there was no leaking at all, like 0 leaks. Everything was dry because the length of the rainfly offers really good rain protection. The mesh of the windows were still completely dry, even though I left them open in the heavy rain like this. Notice that the rain doesn't even come close to the windows at all. And also, the fabric all around the tent body was still completely dry after the rain test, and so was the rainfly, even though it was put through 1 hour of heavy rain. Overall, as far as instant tents go, this Caddis Rapid tent actually has a much longer rainfly length than most, at least on the 3 sides of the tent, so it does have better rain protection than most of the other instant tents that I have. It also came with all its seams taped, which is also better than most instant tents I have. I also liked not having to seal the seams myself. However, I do wish that the rainfly at the front of the tent could be made longer though, so the water wouldn't run over the tent fabric and the seams so much. If so, I think the rain protection for this Caddis Rapid tent would be phenomenal, which is rare for instant cabin tents. For a full review on this Caddis Rapid 6-person tent, check out this video right here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.